The rhythm of healing, the Octaves method. O is for observation, through stillness we find meditation and breath work that quiet the mind. In silence we listen, the answers are clear, awareness emerges, dissolving the fear. C is for compassion, for self and for all, embracing the good, the struggles, the fall. With kindness we grow, we nurture, we mend, learning to love ourselves as we extend. T is for therapy, a path we explore. Daily we practice unlocking the door. From journaling to mindfulness, healing begins. Each step is a victory as peace settles in. A is for animals and laughter so bright, like children at a play, their joy taking flight. With playfulness and movement, we rediscover the way to heal through the fun that we often delay. V is for victuals, nourishing and pure, detoxifying the body and keeping us sure. We choose what we eat with intention and grace, fueling our journey at our own pace. E is for exercise, where movement is free. We stretch and we bend in sweet harmony. Flexibility grows with choices we make. In strength and in stillness, our bodies awake. S is for socialize, where self-growth begins. Others reflect our triggers and the places within. Through relationships, our true selves we find, growing and healing with each tie that binds. The Octaves method, where all behavior makes sense. We just need to find the sense it presents. We just need to find the sense it presents. We just need to find the sense it presents.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 5 of the Trauma and Social Work Podcast. I am KJ Alexander here with my co-host, Tonya Octave, and today we have a lot of important information to dive into. But before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and let Tonya tell a little bit more about herself and what this podcast is about.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tonya Octave, and we are going into Season 5 of Trauma and Social Work Podcasts, where we will be discussing and diving deep into my book called Heal the Mind, 7 Strategies Towards Mental Wellness, Happiness, and Success, Exploring Trauma, Mental Wellness, and Ways to Live a More Balanced Life. And before we begin, just a simple reminder that this podcast is for informational purposes only. It is not intended for medical, psychological, mental health, or legal advice. Although I'm a licensed professional, this is not a formal type of treatment. We may talk about things like hypnosis and meditation and things that we would do in a therapeutic, from a therapeutic perspective, but it's not a form of treatment. For individual questions about your wellness, your happiness, and your success, please seek out a professional. And if you are experiencing a mental health crisis, do call 911 or go to your nearest emergency room.
Great, awesome. That was amazing. So with that being said, I want to make sure I tell the audience, if you haven't already, follow this page on Spotify, YouTube, and any other platforms we post episodes on. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any upcoming episodes in the future. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Trauma and Social Work Podcast. My name is KJ Alexander, joined with my co-host, Tonya Octave. And today's episode, we're picking up where we left off on our discussion about the Heal Thy Mind book. And today we're in the chapter Nutrition. So last episode, we covered, different reasons a person may want to avoid meat and the certain dairies and meats and what they can cause, and we covered nuts and the nutritional value they contain, fruits, and other topics like that. So, continuing our discussion today, we're going to talk about water and why water is so vital to good health. So, you have a section about this in your book, and if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to read from that section. So, water is vital to good health. Removing meat and dairy is vital to health. Along these lines, keeping your water consumption up is also essential. Water hydrates the body, helps the cells to be oxygenated, and removes toxic impurities. Options include coconut water, mineral water, spring water, glacier water, and alkaline water. Water can be sparkling, distilled, purified, flavored, infused. Drink water as your primary liquid. If you are not drinking enough water, your body will let you know with signs of dehydration. These can include dry skin, visible mucous membranes, headache, dark colored urine, decreased urine output, nausea, vomiting, excessive thirst, dizziness, sluggishness, fatigue, weakness, dry mouth, swollen tongue, sugar cravings, confusion, heart palpitations, and bad breath. If you notice these symptoms, take measures to get hydrated. So, just off reading that, I kind of found it interesting that a symptom of dehydration would be sugar cravings. And that kind of was interesting. So, I wonder if you can kind of speak on why you feel that people in today's society don't get enough water, and how much would you recommend? How much water would you recommend for an average person? I know we all vary in body size and weight, but just on average, what would you say?
Well, I added a little kind of section in my book for water because it was so important. And oftentimes when we're in the world, we operate in ways that are easiest, but that doesn't always mean the healthiest. And so we go to
Yeah.
things like soda, energy drinks. Um, God, it's been so long. I'm not sure. Our juices, what
Yep.
other people are drinking. And we miss the boat when it comes to water or nice organic herbal tea, which can also be nourishing. But our body, from different things that I've read, between 80 and 90% plus made up of water. And so we know that there are different molecules in our body, meaning that there are molecules inside our body that have its own cellular structure, its own DNA structure, I should say. And within that, that means that it's coding information for us. And that's why it's so important when you have that you're getting enough water. You also mentioned that you were kind of like curious. You didn't know why there would be sugar cravings. Why do we think there might be sugar cravings associated when someone um, is dehydrated? Because one of the things that I think about is the hypothalamus, which really is the brain's command center, and it tells us when we're hungry and when we're thirsty. And these sometimes will overlap in terms of how the information is distributed through the body. So when you're dehydrated, the brain is going to misinterpret thirst as hunger and want to often crave that quick energy, which is why we have sugar. So one of the ideas is, am I thirsty or am I hungry? The brain is going to say, oh, you're hungry. You need energy. Go for sugar. And that's why we get those processed foods, those sugary items, those things that we think are going to balance us out. Well, that may be one option for people. Another option is to say to yourself, well, am I thirsty? And drink before that. So getting clean water and drinking the water, and then waiting to see if maybe you weren't hungry and that went away, so that you are learning more about how your brain is operating as well. So I
Okay.
just wanted to drink some water
No,
in
that's a
that
great
in
time.
that process. Has there been a moment when you felt like I just ate, but I'm still hungry? And is it a thirst or is it a hunger craving?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you put it like that, I think it makes a lot of sense that sometimes, if we don't have the proper nutrients or our body feels inadequate in something, that we're going to have certain signals that come off as cravings that we may not be able to identify why that is. And dehydration makes total sense because, we need water to survive, and hydration is very key to health, like you mentioned. And if we don't get the proper amount, then it would make sense for our body to want to send that signal out to get something in the body that is lacking.
Because the
And
body is saying, I need something. The brain is
yeah,
misinterpreting that as food. And so we're often going to food because oftentimes we've trained the brain to go in that direction. So it's a retraining. Am I really hungry? Or maybe this is a thirst. And let that be your default. Always going to quenching your thirst first with water. Now, sometimes people will say, well, it's hard to drink water. And I think there have been moments if I'm drinking, well, I only drink water pretty much, other than a herbal tea, but maybe I get in a place where I want something a little bit more refreshing. I'll put a little
yeah,
bit of lemon, and this is what is in this water is a little bit of lemon, just to add to keep the body alkaline. So I'll go from lemon water to just my regular purified water to what I call plant water, which is really just pouring chlorophyll in the water. And those will be the three things that I cycle through the day. And you kind of ask, like, how much water should we drink? My first
yeah,
response is drink as much as you can, because most people are dehydrated and we're not drinking enough. Like, you should be drinking water instead of soda. And the way that cost is going up now, what a beautiful way to maybe save money. With every time you go out, you're getting, well, I probably would say bottled water if they don't have a filtration system water, or you're not bringing your own water with you to drink, but you don't have to spend $5 on a soda or a drink or something like that. But an average, they say women of, and I don't even know what average weight would be, but maybe like 11 cups a day, men maybe 15 cups a day.
hmm,
Some people say it's like half of your BMI. Like if you're 150 pounds, you drink about 2.2 liters a day, because it's half your body weight in ounces of water per day. My thing is,
yeah,
look at yourself and just keep drinking water. It's very rare that you will drink so much water in a day that it will cause a health issue. Like, it has to be so much of an abundance of water that we rarely will get to that point. There is a condition that happens in terms of that, but it rarely happens because most people aren't even drinking and our cells are depleted. And you really want your cells to be plump and juicy and to be moving and flowing with the blood. You don't want it to be sticky. And so drinking healthy water and getting that in the body is going to be, I would say, the best.
yeah. And I've heard that too. I've heard something along the lines of, half of your body weight in fluid ounces of water
Mhm.
is recommended. So, for example, if you weigh 200 pounds, you want to look to get at least 100 fluid ounces. And, most bottles are about 20 to 24 ounces, right? So that's only about, four bottles. So I feel like that is a good place to start. But like you said, the real answer is to drink as much as you can,
Mhm.
because so
And
many of us don't get enough.
it has to be accessible. So get a bottle, whatever is going to work for you. If it's colored, if it's pretty, if it's basic, if it's, I definitely would say glass or and BPA free if you're using some
Yeah,
sort of plastic, because we don't want to add extra toxins. But invest in a bottle that is going to be it. Name it, call it, own it, embody it, do whatever you need to for it to be your representation of nourishment during the day. And that is what you carry. It has to be accessible, because if you don't have your water accessible when you go out to eat lunch with your friends or coworkers, then now you've placed yourself in a situation where you're going to get something that's offered at the restaurant, which is not going to be the quality than if you brought your own water with you. And that could be your
yeah.
lemon water too, or your plant water.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I also think there's a lot of misconceptions about hydration, especially with the whole sports drink market. And a
Mm.
lot of these drinks have a lot more sugar than they even the zero sugar options aren't as hydrating as they claim to be. So I wonder if you could kind of just speak on the difference between like a sports drink like your Gatorades and your things like that, and why athletes should try to avoid these drinks at all costs, especially when they want to get peak athletic performance.
So let me switch that around and say, why
Okay.
would this be a better option?
Okay.
And I'll speak for myself. So when I'm training, which means I'm doing a hard physical regimen for something that might be cardio strength, that might be building muscles in a particular area, something I may be doing, and I tend to do different types of training based on the seasons, the 4 seasons. And so when I'm doing something that's exerting a lot of energy, especially if I'm sweating more than not, I'm going to have my water, and then I'm also going to do the lemon water and the plant water. What I've noticed with the plant water is I can get into a better cardio regimen. I can control my breath. I can hold postures longer. And it just makes me feel as if the body is detoxifying in that process. So I definitely would say adding chlorophyll to your water if you're doing something where you're exerting a lot of sweat and a lot of energy, because it has replenished my body. That has been the experience. Now, some people, in terms of if they wanted to build muscle, I think they may want to go to the marketing industry does their job really well. Their
Yeah.
job is not to provide nutrients to you. Their job is to get you to be a consumer of their product. And that's what they do. So whether or not they put pretty colors or pictures or words, things that are attracting your mind, that is what it's capturing. But they're not providing health, and they're not giving you the optimal way to have a physical body that is going to produce the results that you want. Although you might believe it at times, because maybe
Yeah.
you're doing some great things because you feel, if I have this energy drink, I can push harder. And I say, okay, well, you've tried that. Maybe try some other things. So try what it's like to have a hard workout and just drink water, and how nourishing that can be. Just like you would change repetition, or you would change cycles of muscles, different things like that. So I would say, the marketing industry does good at its job. That's what it's intended to do. But know that in terms of all of those drinks, but your body is made of water, not high citrus corn syrup
Yeah. High
stuff. So
fructose.
your
Yeah.
body needs water. It's harder on the liver for it to even detoxify those things. If you wanted a little sweetness, maybe adding, I see people who put like fruits or things in their water. I would even dabble with some essential oils. Sometimes around the
Okay.
Christmas time, I'm more in my nutmeg, cinnamon thing. So I'll do a nutmeg essential oil in my water, just a little drop. Be careful of essential oils. This is not an essential oil thing, because you want to make sure they're organic, and you want to make sure you properly are building the gut before you start to ingest it. But you can do things like that. Setting reminders. There's even been those big buckets that I have bought myself, and I've seen people buy, and you just drink throughout the day, so that you know that you're getting all your water. Whenever I'm thirsty or hungry, I drink water. To me, that's very simple. Then after that, I wait. And if I'm still hungry, then maybe I have a piece of fruit or something like that. But whenever something goes on, I'm always drinking water. You usually will see me with water, carrying it where I go, especially in and out places, because I don't want it to get the cells to a depleted place. And then
Mm.
there's things that people do in terms of having foods, like we know cucumbers has a lot of water. Lettuce contains a lot of water in it. Watermelon has a lot of water in it. So there's other things you can do to kind of get water-rich foods into the body as well. One of the things that I notice with young people is that they don't like the taste of water. So they'll say, well, I just don't like to drink it. Are there some thoughts or ideas that you have about ways of enhancing water consumption when you're at that space where you feel like maybe you don't want to drink it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that goes back to just the taste palette being a little tainted over the course of years of just having processed foods and processed sugars. But I think the real key to get over that, the disdain for the taste of water is just to understand the importance of it. And like you said, you can add certain things to it to add flavor to it, like lemon and things like that. Now, I feel like you have to be careful with teas because there's a tendency to add a lot of unhealthy things to teas, to add sweetness to it, like sugar and processed honey and things like that, non-organic items. But I mean, for me personally, once you understand the importance, I mean, I started to like the taste of water, especially ice cold water on a warm day is very refreshing for me. So, um, and and yeah, I realized that I felt better when I just hydrated, and that really was a key for me to understand that it may not necessarily be a hunger that I'm feeling. Maybe it's more of a dehydration type of
Mm,
feeling that I'm
excellent.
having.
It is.
And yeah, just once you start drinking more water and getting used to the habit of doing that, it starts to feel more normal to you, and it becomes something that you actually do crave as much as that soda or that sports drink. So I think it really just comes down to, like any habit, just doing it over time and getting readjusted to it, understanding the importance of hydration and the best way to do that. And if you don't want to drink water, I mean, hey, eat some fruit. That's one way, like you said, to get hydrated. It doesn't necessarily have to be just straight water all the time.
You mentioned something very important in terms of, okay, so I'm at work. I've started my day. I didn't have like a caffeine rich beverage. I'm okay in terms of cortisol. I have a little bit of energy, but now I'm doing a 10-hour work shift and I'm doing a lot of energy. Maybe I got to be on top of my game. I got to talk to people. I got to be energetic. I'm exerting all this energy, and
Yeah.
now, like around noon, around 1 o'clock, I'm starting to feel a little bit more fatigue. Remember what I said with the brain. The brain is going to say, oh, you need food, go get sugar. So that may be that sugar tea, that may be that soda, that may be that energy drink, right? Like, oh, it's so much easy energy, pop it open, drink, and then like go, and then I feel this rush. What people don't realize is water is energy. Think about it. Don't believe me? Go look at the ocean. Go look at a lake. Go look at a pond. Go look at bodies of water. How much energy is going on in that movement within the stillness? Because ponds and lakes can be still. There's moments where the ocean can be still too. And that in the moments of that stillness, there's energy. So water is energy. So maybe be more prepared. Come with your gallon or your bottle of water for work every day. And when you start to feel that it's coming down a little, you already are giving yourself the nutrient you need.
Mm.
Bring that to you. Now, if you feel I need, so for me, because I'm vegan, I always need, especially with an extra workout, I might need a little bit more electrolyte. So sometimes I'll put a little bit of salt. I have a specific salt that I
Hmm.
use. So
Okay.
sometimes I'll put a little bit of salt in that, and I'm fine. It actually helps in terms of the sodium and the potassium. It does a lot of things in balancing out within the blood, but without going into all of
Okay.
the details. So you could put a little bit of salt. Sometimes you could put a little bit of salt, and I would always say a healthy salt. This isn't like an ionized salt or even a salt that you get on the grocery store. You would really need some specific
Yeah.
salt on your hand. You can put it into your gums, and then that way you can drink water after that, and that's going to immediately give you any type of rush that you need, that you don't need to get from all the other junk that you're putting in your body. So water is energy. We can't think that water isn't. Soda is junk. Energy is junk. Water is energy. We really have to train our brains to think not from what the marketing industry is trying to tell us, but from where the truth is, where the evidence is, where the science is revealed. revealing itself. And so when you said that, I was like, oh, if I was doing something and I needed a lot of energy, I'm going to have my water with me and maybe some electrolytes, maybe some salts to put in the water so that I can sustain myself at a high peak performance throughout the whole entire day. Then by the time 10 o'clock comes, you don't have a crash. You don't even have a crash at 6 or 7 if you took the energy drink. But then you'll then be able to have that melatonin getting into the body, and then you'll be able to get to sleep. And now you're retraining your body, you're retraining your circadian rhythm to be more aligned when you put things in the body that don't make it more difficult, like those energy drinks.
Mm.
So water is energy.
Yeah, no, that's very understandable the way you put that there. That makes total sense. Absolutely. So I wanted to move on to supplements because I feel like you touched on that. You did touch on that in your book in the next section, and I feel like this is this is one of the lesser known aspects of nutrition that people may or may not know about. So just to kind of start us off, what, in your opinion, what is the value of supplements, and what reason would somebody have to take supplements, and which are there any that you personally recommend?
So I think, when we talk about supplements, I've been in different communities who have different opinions, but most people believe that, our soil is depleted. There is usually a long process for food to get to places like your grocery store, and with processed diets, that there are just reduced nutrients in most of our intake of food. That being said, that's why supplements are so much essential. I work with people in terms of psychotherapy. So like to help them stabilize their mood and to feel balanced and connected and to heal the body, mind, and spirit, those things. And so when I'm working with someone, we don't have to make it harder. If I'm working because you're struggling with anxiety, we don't have to make it harder, which means we don't do energy drinks, which means that we don't put things in our body like caffeine that's going to send our anxiety up and down. It means that we learn to love water and see water as that energy source for us, that primary energy source. And then we learn to build the body up with nutrients we need. We don't need to go through life depleted and sad. And the body's telling you something if you're fatigued. And it's not just laying in your bed saying, I'm fatigued, there's nothing I can do. There's lots of things you can do. Are you willing to do it? Do you need some pushes? Because your body will push you throughout your life. What will happen is your body will push you towards a disease state. It's at what disease state do you get to, then you make a decision to say you want to change. Maybe you don't. Maybe you end up going through that process, or maybe you want something different for your life. And so when I think about mental health and emotional health, essential vitamins are going to be your B's, your vitamin D3. That has been talked a lot about since COVID around 2019, but it's been in existence forever. But at least now more people are are aware, or at least verbalizing their knowledge about the importance of vitamin D3. Magnesium. I know a lot of people, once they start taking magnesium with me, they see just these beautiful benefits. And that is one that I would say people really like. And then your omega-3s. That's going to be for your cognitive health. Our brain is made up of fats. That's why we want to put healthy fats into our body, like avocados, like walnuts, those things, because that's what our body needs in terms of the development of neuroplasticity. So even in thinking about that, like we know our food is depleted. I eat a lot of vegetables. I still supplement because I want to be at the higher range. And my thought process, when my cell needs vitamin C, I want that cell to bloop, reach it and get it. I don't want it to be trying to struggle where to find it in my body. I want it to be in an abundance, not in over. I don't take enough to be over the top. I take it enough to be at the high end. So when the body needs it, it can use it. And then the kidneys and the liver does what it needs to do for the rest of it. Then there's things like if you want to build immune support or if you're working on inflammation, zinc, vitamin C, quercetin, elderberry, those are good in terms of building up the vitamin C. Um, I get vitamin C both from my food, both from supplements, and then when I make drinks, I'm always putting extra vitamin C in. And then for inflammation, turmeric or curcumin, high levels of curcumin are really good if you're fighting an infection. Magnesium and omega 3s are also good in terms of that. So, what about you in terms of supplements? Do you take supplements or what are your thoughts about them?
Yeah, so I am familiar with black seed oil. That is the one I probably take the most. Don't have any now. I need to get some more, but I
And black
noticed.
seed oil, very high in vitamin C, very high in
Yeah,
anti-inflammatory. And if I didn't have anything else when I travel, is black seed. If I can get some
yeah,
oregano oil in there too, it's really going to cut down on your exposure to things like allowing your body to be susceptible to COVID.
yeah. That's why. I mean, that's the reason why that's the one I take the most, just because I feel like it covers a lot of different areas as far as a supplement goes. But I
You
was
take
gonna
it in pill
ask.
form or liquid?
Usually the pill form.
Okay,
And
it's hard to
you
get down
mentioned in
to
your
it.
book that you ingest, vitamins B, C, D, E, K1, K2, calcium, a lot of different supplements here. Um, and I was just wondering, and you also mentioned, you found that what supplements and dosages are needed for each person depends on their current health.
Mhm.
And I wonder if you can kind of like break down how would a person go about knowing what supplements they need? Like, are there certain like tests? Should they speak to certain professionals, or is there a way they can kind of self-diagnose on their own what they may need?
Well, I would say they definitely need to work with the professional because most people aren't as savvy or knowledgeable about all the things that one needs to consider. So, meaning with a
Okay.
nutritional coach, whether or not that's a functional medicine or holistic, whatever route you tend to go, knowing though with a Western doctor, they may recommend the B3, a vitamin D3, they may recommend a B12, depending on some labs, maybe a C. So with Western medicine, it may be limited than what you would do as if you paid for someone. You could
Okay.
also contact me in terms of setting up a wellness coaching session and looking at, yes, there's lots of tests. There's general panel tests that you're doing. And then there's all kinds of other tests that you can do. There's also some if you didn't want to go the testing route, which is kind of the ideal route because that actually tells us what the body is saying and
Yeah.
communicating kind of based on a little bit of science. And then we're using kind of like our knowledge too and how to interpret some of these tests. But let's say you weren't able, for whatever reason, to go that route, then there's some things in terms of lists. So there's lists, particularly that I have, that when we input your systems, it kind of guesses in a scientific way where we could start in terms of your supplement. And when I think of working with someone in terms of their supplements, I think about I'm getting you in therapeutic range. And therapeutic range isn't usually the recommendation on the bottle, which may say like 1 drop or um, take 2 pills with a meal. Therapeutic range is usually in a higher dosage because we want to start building the body up. And then once we get to a stage of building the body up, then we kind of level it off. We may even cycle some things in and out, and then we use food as additional nutrient support for that. So that's what I would say when it comes to supplements. People have lots of questions. They're like, "What magnesium should I take?" And so
Yeah.
usually, well, we don't. I don't know what magnesium. It requires to have a dialogue about what your body is telling you in terms of symptom presentation. If you are fatigued, there are some things that in general you can do for fatigue, like plant water, like chlorophyll is great for fatigue. If you feel a cold coming on, we know like vitamin C is great. Black seed oil is amazing. Oil of oregano is amazing. And you can take them in all forms. Some things are people are more accustomed to taking it in liquid form, in terms of like maybe a gel pill, because the taste for black seed oil, I have to mask it in my salad dressings. That's usually how I get it in. So I'll do the oil in the salad dressings. I think you do the little pill pocket oil thing
Yeah.
that you can say, yeah. And that usually kind of gets past the taste and gets into the digestive system. Then there's things like you might start taking pills and then you might get tired of taking pills. So then there's other things you can do. The powder pills you can break up and put in your food, not necessarily water, but maybe your tea and stir it up. You can put it in food, and mix it in, and that way you're getting the supplements. And the thing about when you put supplements, so I wouldn't say most, there are some supplements that we take that should be taken with food, because it tricks the digestive system as if you're having a really, really nutrient, mineral enriched food. And so, like, if I wanted, well, typically I would have a salad, but I may add 2 or 3 pills of vitamin C on my salad, just opening it up and kind of sprinkling in. That way, the digestive system feels when it digests, it's like absorbing it. That's one of the theories, is that it's more likely to absorb it because the body sees this as a high nutrient meal versus if you took it separate. Although there are some supplements that are better taken on an empty stomach.
Okay.
So that might be some considerations. I can share one of the things I just made this morning, which is a
Yeah.
like cup. And hold on,
Okay.
it's it's a green tea. So I have 2 green teas in here, but it's like brown. So what causes it to be brown? So
Mm.
I'll put some of my supplements. Today I put in he shu wu. It's an Asian herb and it's good. It's an antiviral. So I usually keep all of my things accessible in jars. And so I'll write the names on them and then I'll just put them in. And then I added dandelion root, which is a bitter, which is good for the liver. And I'm combining the ingredients of a green tea, which is an antiviral. It also has protective capacities against cancer. So it's been recommended for women who had concerns regarding, I think it was breast cancer, to take 2 to 3 cups of green tea a day, and also good for men. I can't remember the specific cancers for green tea. Then I added some matcha, because I put
Okay.
green with everything, even my tea, even though it's green
Oh,
tea. And
nice.
then I always do, for the most part, I'll put a little bit of cinnamon in it just because it regulates the blood sugar. And it also gives it the little taste. I'll stir it. I did add some oat milk that I made and stir it. It comes like a little brown color. I'll drink this. I'll add some hot water and I'll have a second cup. And that's how you can also get supplements into, that's what I'm saying. It can be and it should be a part of your food. But how can I enhance my green tea in this way? By adding supplements. And then that was my morning routine. And then I have an afternoon routine, thinking about my energy, what I plan to do today. So what herbs or supplements need to support that? And then maybe towards the evening and the afternoon when things are calming down, like magnesium might be a better option to take it later on in the day, especially as you're calming down, because it can be calming to the system. It also helps in the detoxification process too. So
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a very thorough breakdown right there. A lot of great information. And I'm glad you were able to cover this section on nutritional health, which is just as, if not more important than physical health, which is the next chapter that you cover. So definitely
ooh,
looking
be
forward to
ready.
that.
You better come
Absolutely.
with your stuff ready. Better bring some weights.
Absolutely, for sure. And then just to close out this chapter, the takeaways on nutrition. So you say nutrition is essential to healing the mind, but often challenging for most to change, as it reveals traumatic and attachment patterns of suffering and pain. The body must heal itself so the mind can heal. You can't heal the mind without working on the physical body. Spend the time and energy to work with a professional because your body has specific needs. Learn and understand what the body needs to sustain alkalinity, as this supports optimal health. Consider natural and organic ways to heal the body. There are fewer side effects than relying on prescribed or over the counter medications. Invest in herbs and supplements that repair, replenish, and restore the body. And I think that's a great way to wrap up that chapter right there. A lot of very understandable and relatable information right there. I hope the audience got a lot from this episode and starts to apply this information to their daily life. And before we wrap up for today, anything you want to leave the audience with?
So supplements is such a big issue, and a lot of time that I have invested in learning about it, thinking about companies. It's one of the, it's not regulated in terms of government agency. I don't know if that's good or bad though, but there's just certain cautions that we have to think about in terms of that. So I have a pretty lengthy conversation about supplements and things to consider. And I break down them a little bit, particularly in relationship to post-traumatic stress disorder, traumas in general, anxiety symptom presentation, depression, the way that that may be experienced in the body and how it's communicated, how supplements can help nourish the body in that way, and science, what science is saying is good for the body in terms of our mental health. So check out that video and we'll add that in the link below.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you once again. And with all that being said, guys, that is all the time we have for today's episode. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Please, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe and like button. And until next time, everybody, be safe, be healthy, and bye-bye.
Wraps up another episode. I hope today's discussion provided clarity and tools you can use in your daily life. If you're ready to take the next step in the healing journey, I'd love to connect. Head over to my website to schedule a free 15-minute consultation. It is a great opportunity to ask questions and see how we can work together. And while you're there, download my complimentary workbook designed to help you reflect, grow, and move towards mental wellness, happiness, and success. Thanks for listening, and I will see you next time. The Rhythm of Healing, the Octaves Method. O is for observation, through stillness we find meditation and breath work that quiet the mind. In silence we listen, the answers are clear, awareness emerges, dissolving the fear. C is for compassion, for self and for all, embracing the good, the struggles, the fall. With kindness we grow, we nurture, we mend, learning to love ourselves as we extend. T is for therapy, a path we explore. Daily we practice unlocking the door. From journaling to mindfulness, healing begins. Each step is a victory as peace settles in. A is for animals and laughter so bright, like children at a play, their joy taking flight. With playfulness and movement, we rediscover the way to heal through the fun that we often delay. V is for victuals, nourishing and pure, detoxifying the body and keeping us sure. We choose what we eat with intention and grace, fueling our journey at our own pace. E is for exercise, where movement is free. We stretch and we bend in sweet harmony. Flexibility grows with choices we make. In strength and in stillness, our bodies awake. S is for socialize, where self-growth begins. Others reflect our triggers and the places within. Through relationships, our true selves we find, growing and healing with each tie that binds. the Octaves method, where all behavior makes sense. We just need to find the sense it presents. We just need to find the sense it presents. We just need to find the sense it presents.